Hi, I'm Ron Nutter, and welcome to another edition of Tech Bytes with Ron Nutter. In this video, we'll talk about setting up your Raspberry Pi as an access point for your smart home. This will be using the LABISTS Pi4 kit, which has everything you need to get started. This video will show you how to set up for 2.4 gigahertz. 5 gigahertz will be done in a later video because there's a few things that are a little bit different. This video is available as an Amazon flash briefing or podcast. Please go to techbyteswithronnutter.com for more information. For any items mentioned in this video, there are affiliate links in the description. If you click on these links, I will get a small commission, but that won't affect the price you pay for the item. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please click on subscribe now and enable notifications. If this video helps you or provides value, please click on the like button, thumbs up. Now, here's the game plan we're going to follow. First, we're going to go through setting up the SD card with Raspbian Buster Lite. Now, Buster Lite's important because it is the command line only version, and for an access point, you want minimal things running on the Pi4. You can do this with earlier ones, but I'm pretty much have switched over to the Pi4 for most of my stuff. Then we'll talk about setting or installing the RaspAP software, and it's a series of components, but you'll see that here in a bit. And then we'll actually show about using the AP, getting in and managing it. And it was a little different than what I expected, but really it's nothing that you can't do. So let's go on and get the SD card set up with Raspbian. Now, to save a little bit of time, I've already got the distribution downloaded, the Buster Lite. And because you've seen some of my other Raspberry Pi videos, you'll know that's what I've been using. So we'll pick up on that one. Like I said, it's the zip file, but Balena Etcher automatically goes in and sees there's an image file on the inside. I've got the micro SD card plugged in, and you see this is on an Apple MacBook Pro, so it's already picked up on it. It's got it ready to go. So now we'll just go ahead and click on starting, and we will enter the password. Obviously, I didn't enter it right the first time. Okay, now it's going to flash. And if you've seen this part, you can skip past this. But all these videos I'm doing are assuming you've never done any of this before or haven't done it a whole lot. So I try to walk through the complete process every time just so that there's no steps missing. So this will take just a second here to get through. And there are a variety of micro SD cards you can use. I got a good deal on some a while back off Amazon that were 32 gig cards that I paid like $6 or $7 for. I always try to go with the Type 10 cards because those are going to have typically the best speed. You want to use at a minimum, from my perspective, the 8 megabyte write speeds, and if you can get like the 95s or even the 99s, I think there's some 99s out there, that's going to let the Raspberry Pi work that much faster when it's got to do SD card access. Again, you can always get started with what you've got. There's nothing wrong with that at all. As you can see, we're just about through here. It takes just a few minutes for this to do. Now, if you're doing it on a PC, yeah, it might take a little bit longer, but it might be faster too, depending on the particular machine that you've got. And once it gets through flashing it, then it's going to actually go through and validate it. And the validating goes pretty quick. And it's done. So it's going to go ahead and unmount it. So we're going to get out of Balena Etcher at this point, and we're going to unplug the SD card or micro SD card because it's in an adapter, and we're going to let it remount. Now you see it's up there on my desktop, and we're actually going to explore the file system because I'm going to enable SSH for headless operation because I don't even have a monitor attached to mine. So we'll go down here and duplicate. Now if it's on a PC, there should be a similar function there to make that happen, and we will just rename the file SSH with no extension. That's important. And we'll go down here and open it up, and then we will mark everything in the file and erase it, and we'll exit out of the text editor, and we'll say yes. Now the thing to look for is it needs to be a 0-byte file. That will, on startup only, Raspbian will detect that and enable SSH out of the gate. So let's go ahead and switch over and get things booted up. Okay, now I've just taken the micro SD card out of the laptop, and I'm going to pull out the micro SD, and we'll switch over here to our Pi4, and we'll just stick the card in right there. Slide it right in, and then of course do not do this with it powered up. You'll need to have it powered off, so we'll go ahead and turn it on. And we'll take it just a second here to come up. And what it's going to do at this part, because I don't have the HDMI connected, it will first boot up, do its initialization, and it will enable secure shell and resize the card. And then once it's done that, we'll actually be able to go through the process of getting it set up. Now, I'm going to switch over here to my Chromebook, and these are the steps that we're going to take. I mean, you can go right to RaspAP.com and walk through these steps. And we'll have to do another reboot because we want to make sure that we get everything upgraded. That's important when you do something like this. And we also need to make sure that we go through RaspBee config and enable wireless, because if you don't do this, it's not going to talk to anything. So we can get that done and then get this show on the road. So let's go here. It ought to be getting close to where we can get to it. And then we'll go 10, let's see, Pi at 10.0.1.146. And yes, we want to do it, and it's already there. So Raspberry. Okay. So like I said, it warns you right there on the screen, as you can see, where it says Wi-Fi is currently blocked. And let's bring this over here a little bit to the center of the screen, and that will make it, well, here, bring it over here more into the center, and that way you can see a better idea of what's going on. So at this point, well, I just said that, and we're going to move it back over here to the, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So we'll go down here and we'll go through. You see here at the bottom of the screen, that's the first steps we're going to have to do. So we'll do sudo. And if you're not familiar with Linux, sudo basically allows you to shift the user you're logged in with as super user. So if you are logged in with something else, then that's another important reason why to do it. And it's also just some of the commands you simply have to do, even if you log in with the RPi account. So with the Pi account. So we'll do update. And it's going to go through and go get a few packages. And depending on when you downloaded the particular release, like say if I was using this version of Raspbian that I've already, Raspbian Buster that I've already got, and I say it's 6 months down the road, it's going to have to do a lot of updates. Where if you got like a later version of when Buster would come out, or whatever they're calling it at that point. So distribution upgrade. And yeah, I know they have to ask you that it's going to take a certain amount of space, but really it kind of gets on your nerves just a little bit. But really, in spite of things, I mean, this does run through at a pretty good pace. So you really can't complain. Now, if you were doing this over a dial-up line, yeah, it might take a little bit of time. But as you can see, it's just zipping right through it, and I'm trying to have in all these videos I do where you can see the exact steps that I've been going through. So we'll do sudo reboot, and we'll just tell it to reconnect. And as soon as it comes back online, we should see it connect. So it's just going to keep retrying at this point until the Raspberry Pi comes back online. It may time out here at some point, but I don't think that it will. I'm using the Secure Shell browser extension that Chrome has available on it. So eventually I may have to shift over to another laptop, but we'll see how this continues to work. Ah, there we go. Now it's back up. So, okay. And now's when we will do, just like it says here in the instructions, RaspBee config. Ah, okay. And it tells you sudo. Okay. That's fine. Okay, so now we will do localization, change locale, network options, Wi-Fi. Ah, here we go. This is the way we needed to have done it, because doing the localization, I'm sure there's valid reasons to do it that way, but now we'll just go down here, and we should be able to pick up US. There we go. I just should have typed U to begin with. Note to self, next time do that. And we'll just call it test at this point, because the RaspAP software is going to go ahead and do that, and we will call it test, test. Again, it's just going to override it, so not a problem. And so we've already set the Wi-Fi country, and that's important because that's going to tell the Raspberry Pi. If you're not familiar with why, the reason is that this has all the channels that 2.4 has available worldwide. So by giving it the country information, you're enabling the channels you need for that particular country. So we've already rebooted. We've done RaspAP config. So now we will just cut and paste that, copy, and then paste, and yes, yes, okay, well, that's going through at a pretty good rate. Again, it's got to go download some things, so and somebody must like me today because it's actually running through this at a pretty quick rate. So I'm used to things taking forever is the right word. And it's important to watch this as it's going through, because if in the event there was a problem, then you would see error messages here. Now sometimes it may just say like some sort of a warning message, not really critical, especially if there's a dependency issue where one module it's looking for is not the right version. Okay, HTTP only for session cookies. Yes. We'll enable the cache. Yes. Enable RaspAP. I'm sure there's reasons why you might not do it. Now, I'm going to say no to OpenVPN. This is something where you can have a tunnel set up here, and that way everything's encapsulated on the way out. We'll touch on that in a later video. And yes, we'll reboot. Okay, and we'll tell it to reconnect, because since we're running this headless, then it's going to let us know very easily when it's actually rebooted, and we'll just do a periodic check going back over there, and once we see it active and when it asks for the password, then we know that things are set ready to go. And as we saw the last time, it eventually did see the RPi come up. And when it sees prompted, so okay, at that point, we're good to go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to ignore that. Well, not ignore that. We're going to unplug. And then we will go in, because now the AP should have had time to get up and running. So we'll switch over now to my trusty Samsung smartphone. We'll tap on that, and we should see there's RASP GUI. So let me shift my directions over to here, because there's pieces of the puzzle we're going to have. And you'll see this on the page. So we will shift over to, come on, now it had it there for a minute. Okay, there we go, RASP GUI. And it's going to ask for the password, which in this point is change me, and they are not kidding when you really should change it. And then we will click connect. And it's connected. Now, the way this is set up, it actually has you have kind of a, I hate to use the term firewall, but you're actually on a different IP range from what's going to be on your network. So if you've noticed, the way I've got mine set up here is I've got it on a hardwired connection, and then you've got the AP running here. Now, when you say to me, well, why would I want to turn my Raspberry Pi into an AP? Is it going to have good coverage? Well, no, because it doesn't have external antennas. This is a very limited range limited use kind of situation. But if you have, say, the access point in your internet router at home goes out, you could use this to at least give you some internet access until you could figure out what the problem was. If you're having some friends over, set this up and make it a very simple password, or you might be able to do no password at all. That's something I haven't tried yet. And that way you're not getting them into your network. You're actually kind of controlling them through that. So if somebody starts doing something they shouldn't, all you do is shut down the AP and the problem's taken care of. So we'll go back over to here and we'll open up web browser, and then we will just open up another page here. And what we want to do is go to 10.3.141.1. And this is, we're getting into the management page, admin and secret. And I would also get this password changed at some point. Oh, it's going to fail because I didn't type it right. And now, okay, well, we'll go ahead and tell it to save. So now you can see we've got the AP up and running. And if we actually go through, I'll go up to one of my other tabs and see it's refreshing the page. Granted, it's going to be a little slow because the access point, the Raspberry Pi is not going to be the fastest thing in the world, but we are now going through the Raspberry Pi out there. So that is not a bad thing. It's always handy to have one laying around. So if we go up here, go back to here, and now everything you can do, you can see from here. And you could bring this up. There's no reason why you couldn't bring this up from a regular desktop. And it shows you that there's my Galaxy S9. There's the IP address it's got, the MAC address. So you've got a good idea of what's going on. And you can actually shut down the wireless LAN. So if you are in here and somebody's doing something they shouldn't, again, we're good to go. And you've got, you can turn on the Wi-Fi client. There's really, this is interesting. So we can go into hotspot and you can change the SSID. Now, granted, when you change this, you're going to need to restart the hotspot and it will knock you out. So you have to go back in. Now, something important to consider here. We are running, by default, it came up 802.11g. Not everybody may have N, so it's a matter of how you want to do it. And if you notice that 802.11ac is grayed out, on 5 gigahertz, again, there's some additional steps you have to take, and we'll talk about that in a later video. You can make this easy. There is a QR code that you can have somebody take a snapshot off your phone, and it should automatically set them up. Go to advanced. And if we put it into what they call Wi-Fi client AP mode, now here's the reason why you may not want to. Right now we've got the Raspberry Pi on a hard-coded connection, and that's, a hardwired connection to your network. If you have it going out to your network over wireless and you're also serving people on wireless, you're going to load that AP down quite a bit because that's getting the radios to do double duty. So that's probably not something you want to think about doing. And you can also tell it, go back over here and look at the maximum number of clients. So if you don't want everybody hogging your bandwidth, then that is certainly a good thing too. In networking, we'll go down here. So you can see basically it's telling you what its IP addresses are locally and for the wireless. And we go in here. This is where, if you want to change the IP addressing, this is where you can do it here. You can change the DNS servers. You can, there's a lot of versatility here. Now we'll go client list. Now you see there's my Galaxy S9 that we're doing this on now. So you can see what is going there. And authenticator, now that's authentication rather. So that's where you would change your password. Let's see, what else do we want to look at? Change theme, data usage. I'll go back here to dashboard. So you can see at this point, it's already seeing that, I've done a little bit of traffic. And over time, you can watch it. So And this is where having this available to you to get up and running, say the kids are complaining they can't get on the internet. Well, you can put this in their room. They would have their own personal access point, and when it's bedtime, if they're still on the network connection, guess what? You go in on the interface and you shut it down. So, or if you have a part of the house where you don't have good wireless and you just want to make sure that it's not maybe something unique to the computer that you're using, this would be a good way. If you put this in there and you're still having problems, okay, then it helps you tell that your computer is having problems. But this is something very handy to have for your smart home. It's at least an option that you can use for troubleshooting. I don't know that I would use it for day in, day out production, but certainly if you're having some friends over, you can put them on their own AP and you don't have to give passwords out, because let's face it, you might know someone who would drive up in front of the house, remember the SSID and the password or passphrase, and be using your network while they're sitting out on the street. So that's where it's an advantage. You know, while 2.4, and then with the limited range of these radios, 2.4 is not a bad thing. 5 gigahertz will even be more confined, because the higher you go in frequencies with wireless, the shorter the range is comparable to 2.4. Anyway, that's a whole nother discussion. So, you know, you've seen how this is to get it up and running. Very straightforward. So that's something to have in your bag of tricks. Now, you're going to see videos to the right or to the left that are the next steps to other ones that you want to watch in this series or other content that I've produced. If this video helps you or provides value, please click on the like button, thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please click on subscribe now and enable notifications. We'll see you in the next video. Thank you.